Family and fellow soldiers, I'm the professor, and this is the moment of truth.
It's bones in here.
They melt.
They melt.
They do.
Did you ever have to be like, baby, no.
Yeah.
Madam Vice President in my backyard, and I'm spinning pizzas.
It appears to be quite impressive.
Hello, and she's impressed.
Okay, don't cut out the anchovy. I saw that.
Did it surprise people around you how much you shared?
Yes, it did. You don't need to wash your chicken.
What?
It's just important that it's pronounced correctly. That's all I have to say.
Man, Cisco, you're going out sad. Every time I see this woman, when she's talking to black people, especially if they're supposed to be in the media, she's always talking about food. And she's usually getting it wrong somehow. Collard greens in the bathtub, anyone? But it goes to show that this is what Democrats think of black voters. All of that shuck and jive, step and fetch stuff. Oh, these simple Negroes. You don't have to talk about policy with them. There's no fear of that coming up. Instead, you go ahead and you talk about some watermelon and chicken. That's how you go ahead and get on their good side. That's all they're good for. And sure, the audience for the breakfast schlubs is like that. Food is in their name. But for those of us who are adults, this kind of crap is a joke, but not a funny one. And as for this Evans character, can't say that I've ever heard of him before, but I can tell that this is what happens when that gig on RuPaul's show doesn't pan out for you. First the shade room, now this. This is the class and caliber of individual who Kamala Harris is trying to pal around with these days. You can tell that she's still pining away in the desperate hope that maybe she can run for president again in 2028. She knows that she still has zero support from the black community, definitely none from black men, so I guess having a girls' night out with a goofy individual like this is supposed to be her idea of black male outreach. She's doing a sit-down with some zesty podcaster. She eats French fries. I'll bet she thinks that that's soul food. And she laughs that witch's cackle of hers while making some lame one-liners and whining about how great things would have been if she had become president. Never mind the fact that the entire reason she's exiled back to the private sector is precisely because people hated how things were with her in the White House. She didn't listen then, and she's still not listening now. This is what Democrats are doing in their attempts to try to lay the groundwork for the 2026 midterms. This is a pathetic attempt to avoid having to face the music. Even now, they're terrified of doing so. And that's in large part what's killing their party. The reliable bootlicks who they prefer to run to their little safe spaces and chat about this or that, these people have as much credibility as a rodeo clown. Though I gotta say, I've seen rodeo clowns with far more dignity than this idiot. But the Democrats aren't alone on that one. Just to show that these people are literally two wings of the same buzzard, thank you Tari and Rain, here's another influencer, a guy named Xaviaer DuRousseau. This guy's entire shtick is that he claims that he supported BLM some point in the past. And then he claims that, well, he saw the light and now he's a conservative because he sees the truth. Just keep in mind, by the way, Tomi Lahren had claimed that she supported BLM in the beginning, though she couldn't provide any proof of that. These days, this Xavier character is running around for the white right, simultaneously carrying water for them and trying to sell the soap. But I'd say that from the way this guy looks and the quality of people he likes to pal around with, he ought to be using that soap and water on himself. These bootlicks never have an original thought because they don't think for themselves. Hell, most of them can't think. So they put on the tap dancing shoes and start performing for massa. In the case of this DuRousseau character, he's part of that rump contingent who actually thinks that they're going to inherit Charlie Kirk's audience of deplorables. Now, riddle me this. When has the white right ever elevated a black mouthpiece to the status of a Bill O'Reilly or a Rush Limbaugh or Charlie Kirk? Because it's the money that these Negro bootlicks are actually hoping for. They could care less about notoriety or fame. They're just trying to get the bag, and they think that this is the fastest route to it. But has it ever worked, especially for the black bootlicks? Have they gone ahead and had white power giving these guys $20 million checks? Have the Koch brothers or any of these right-wing billionaires come up to these black bootlicks and handed them multi-million-dollar checks? These guys never figure out white power's not going to pay these fools that kind of money. They just want the bootlick there for a photo op. At best, you get to pretend to be their black friend, and at worst, you're going to wind up being their crash dummy, whose job it is to nod your head obediently and agree that racism doesn't exist. Period. And here some of these fools are thinking that they're going to be the next Charlie Kirk. Most of them didn't even know who Charlie Kirk was before he was killed. But for the aspiring bootlick who thinks that this is the finesse to run, let me take some of the suspense out of it for you. Candace Owens messed up that little hustle for all of you. And since white supremacy considers all black people to be just one big Negro, when they look at you, the only thing they're going to be thinking about is Candace Owens. How long before this Negro decides to break bad on us? But when I came across this interview with Kamala Harris, I couldn't help but think of this DuRousseau chump. This guy claimed that he was on the left. He was actually just a professional clout chaser. He claimed that he was with the BLM movement. I guess he must have seen D. Ray McKesson and thought to himself that there was a lane there, except there wasn't. So since he couldn't get any traction as a BLM protester, too many other LGBT people who were over there, instead he decided that he had an epiphany all of a sudden, and now he realized he was actually a conservative. So he's been out there getting politically pimped by PragerU and other bad actors. This is very typical of people who try to climb the ladder in punditry and trying to find someone who will pay them for it. I've told you about how Cenk Uygur of the Young Turks was a staunch conservative, and he still remains so today, but the white right wasn't hiring at the time, so he changed his tune, got on with Air America Radio, which gave him entree to MSNBC, and he pretended to be left-wing, or at least left-leaning, except where black people were concerned. That is, until recently when Cenk Uygur and the Young Turks began leaning hard to the right with their content. I guess he needed more money. And Ed Schultz did the same thing, and Mehdi Hasan was asking a right-wing newspaper in Britain for a job before he got on with MSNBC. Michael Steele was the chairman of the RNC. He was going hard in the paint for W and the Republicans back in the day, that is, until they stopped paying him. And now he's on MSNBC. You see how it works? These people shift to the left or the right depending on who it is they think is actually going to pay them. All of them are just trying to get in where they fit in. And their politics are completely and thoroughly malleable. Have check, will babble. But just like Evans, DuRousseau is another white media mouthpiece falsely claiming that he's got the pulse of the people. And while it's true that Kamala Harris had no influence with black male voters, neither do either of these clowns. White supremacy, left or right, has no real desire for black people to exist, much less be in spaces that they have claimed for themselves, much less be leading white people in those spaces. Ask Mark Robinson about that one. And since there's not many black people who are willing to regurgitate the kind of crap that the white right wants to hear, even if they are being paid to say it, it says a lot that even among the meager handful of Negroes who decided that they were going to go begging the white right for a job, they still didn't get paid enough to even keep the lights on. They can go ahead and try to chase that dream if they want, but thanks to Candace Owens, their would-be white paymasters already decided that they didn't have their black friends under tight enough control. And now they're going to triple down on that. These politicians can hide their heads in the sand, but their failed strategy of sticking to safe spaces where some bootlick is going to play ball with them doesn't work. That's why Kamala Harris lost and keeps losing. She's trying to build a bubble for herself, and the black media just keeps on popping it. And this is a vulnerability that the white right doesn't have, mainly because the only reason they got the one or two Negroes who they allow to be on camera with them is simply as a rhetorical dodge. It gives them the ability to give a feeble denial of their racism. Why? We can't be bigoted. Look over here. We got one or two niggers who are, we got these one or two dedicated individuals who are free thinkers and going against the grain. There's no way in hell you can be a free thinker when you have to depend on some white power broker for every crumb of your daily bread. And by the way, I think I should add that I've even heard some of these white podcasters who are left-leaning say similar things. See, for Democrats, this is not now and has never been about winning elections. It's always been about continuity of policy, a racial policy. They act like they're unhappy with Republicans being in control of the government, but in reality, Democrats are playing their part as controlled opposition, their job being to control you. The midterm elections are right around the corner, and the campaigns for these candidates are about to kick into high gear. And with people like Ezra Klein of the New York Times talking just like Barry Weiss, we're already seeing what the white media strategy is going to be on that front. Just repeat things like Negro Jim Clyburn wagging their fingers at us and attacking the very voters who they claim to want votes from. And why are they attacking their own base? For daring to make demands. They're going to be on all the networks spreading that propaganda, but then again, they won't need to, because the hosts of these programs, these anchor people, they're going to be doing the exact same thing. It's going to be a nonstop op-ed of all of these people, or these fringe people, these far leftists or far left fringe. They're going to be blowing elections for Democrats. They're the problem. You got to ignore these people. You got to go ahead and shut these people up. They're the problem. We're about to see a massive and hyper-aggressive campaign of mind control take place, because that's what that kind of endless repetition is. Expect a non-stop parade of DNC dummies saying that our demands are what cost them elections, why the reason the orange man is back in office is because you made demands. America hates whatever it is that you're demanding, and they don't like you either. Whatever it is that you're for, America is against. Sure, Americans can't agree on anything except that they don't want whatever it is that you're demanding. That's what the Democrats are saying over and over again. Yes, it's a lie, but then again, when you got billionaires using you for meat puppets, that's what you get. Because after all, Americans don't like what's going on in Israel because they don't like either the money or the lives lost or what have you. And yet both parties have given Israel untold billions of dollars. So it has nothing to do with public opinion. Congressman Jim Himes lied through his teeth and said the Democrats lost in 2024 because of defund the police, even though that hasn't been a thing in years. When Mehdi Hasan confronted him on that lie, Himes immediately dropped it without even pretending to justify it. He didn't even try to justify what he said. This is not about reality. It's about pushing a lying narrative that America doesn't want what we're demanding, and that if we speak up for ourselves, why all of America is going to unite against us. And before any shills or plants try to say it, yes, we know the Republicans aren't for us either. But Republicans aren't the ones trying to get our vote, and they're also not the ones who claim that they historically have stood by us. And while it's true that Republicans are at war with democracy, it's also true that the Democrats haven't lifted a finger to even stop them, because the Democrats are at war with their own base. All because the base is making demands that require Democrats to disobey their paymasters. I've long told you that Congress, at least as Democrats see it, is nothing more than a DC-based social club. But what I should add is that the membership fee to the club isn't paid for by the candidate, but rather the donors. You need a sponsor to get into this club. But all of that is being threatened because the grassroots, specifically the black grassroots, have made demands and stuck by our guns. Sure, you got some others on the white left, some of the pundit class online, who have figured things out. At least they're actually saying it now. But they can't deny or ignore the fact that we were the ones who started it, and we're the ones who are going to keep it going, not them. When you see Kamala Harris and others sitting down with these nobodies, what they're actually trying to do is to manufacture instant credibility for people who have permanent inauthenticity. This is not about showing that this or that shill has clout with the people. It's actually about demonstrating that the white dark money behind these people can conjure magic, and they can get their propaganda over and have the public eating it no matter who's pitching it. But it's also meant to signal to any would-be influencers that if they want to get some face time with these washed-up politicos, then they need to be zesty or otherwise unthreatening too, which means you go ahead and have your hair look like a goddamn parakeet, and you sit here wearing clothes as if you're going to be hanging out with the village people. But most importantly, you make sure that you don't ever put them on the spot. You know exactly what questions they don't want asked, so every question is supposed to be a softball for them. You let them go ahead and repeat their stale, old, tired, canned talking points, and you sit there and smile and nod obediently and pretend as if this gibberish is the most profound thing that you've heard all year. For these people trying to get put on by the white media, they know that the people who they want to get a video with, they have a type of individual that they want to talk to, and that you better fit that mold, or you don't even get your foot in the door. Be they shilling for the left or shilling for the right, this is the difference between these bootlicks out here and the black media. It's not enough to simply get an interview with somebody. What matters is what kind of questions you're asking them. What is the purpose of the interview? Is the purpose of the interview so you can claim that you had a sit down with this or that famous politician? Oh, this vice president sat down to talk with me. Or is the purpose of the interview to make sure that your audience and your viewers' questions and concerns are heard, are put directly to them? Mainstream news in America has always been a toilet, but it became a complete and thorough cesspool when these guys started getting paid big and they decided they were going to go along with the get along wholeheartedly. And now you got these folks online who are pursuing the exact same strategy, and they're doing it for the exact same people. All of this endless carpet bombing you see them doing, bringing out these clowns and shills to get out here and buck dance for them, this is supposed to be what counts as a substitute for the influence that they don't have. That's the entire reason that they have to go through all this. Well, if Kamala Harris is trying to change anybody's mind about her, especially in the black community, I recommend that Kamala go ahead and get started on her next book now. because she's going to have nothing but free time on her hands to write it. Good day, and be one. I'd like to take a moment to mention some of our contributors. Sean, Stay Positive, Nora Brown, Joseph Shorter, and Jack Smith. Salute to them and thank you to everyone for listening, liking, and sharing this message. Black empowerment only exists because of you.